What a way to start this device, huh? This will be a day that will go down in memory, I guess. The 28th. The 28th of January. Flo's going to Maraval this weekend. And she has to come back Monday because I need her to bring me to the Merite. And I was tempted to say to her, if you want to stay in Maraval later on Monday, I can always take the taxi. And then I thought, maybe things would be different by then. And these little gestures anyway, was me trying to say, you don't have to bring me, I can go myself, to show a little bit of independence, but it doesn't really make much difference. Yeah, that's she's going to go to Maraval. I can only imagine if she's having this conversation, because the brothers and sisters will be getting together in a few weeks as well. I can only imagine what she says to her family. About me? I mean, is it really? Does she speak to them the way she speaks to me? Does she say... Does she say how desperate it is to be with a guy like this? Is she saying to her sisters, oh, I'm trying so hard to fucking get rid of him, but I can't? He just won't go no matter what I fucking say to him. Is it like that? Maybe not. I don't know what she wants out of life. Mia, like I said, Jesus, just to get from day to day is enough, We can kind of forget about these things when Flo comes back and go back into the normal groove. It's like a record that's the table it's on has been hit, and the record jumps all over the place, and then it goes back into its groove, and you have the... It's a bit like that. The other thing is a bit worrying is her mental state. I'm a bit worried as well because she just seems so miserable. She's saying how unhappy she is just after coming back from all this stuff in India. And I was always kind of worried about, not exactly worried, but I was aware of the fact that if someone they're teaching yoga and they're preaching all this stuff about what to do to keep a relaxed mind and body, and you are not the mind, we're not the body, and I've gone, all this stuff, and you're kind of selling this stuff to your students and yourself. But then when she's with me, she's more or less saying none of this is working. I'm in no way enlightened. And me, I'm okay with that and with life being like that. I don't expect it to be, a fantastic fairy tale. But she seems to... And the other thing is She makes more sense than I do when it comes to these confrontations. I can just say, I need some respect. But she'll say stuff like, well, how long have you spent looking for a job today, you know? Or she remembers everything. Things that happened years ago. And it's like if we were in a court of law, she'd win the case, because I can never come back with anything, because it's correct. I'm not working. I'm just existing kind of on my own here, day in, day out. And if someone loved you enough, they'd be okay. If you were happy, they'd say, well, if you're happy with that, it's fine. She's not like that, though. My happiness doesn't seem to come into the conversations very much. I think that's a fair point, actually. My happiness doesn't really come into it. Or she'll just say, again, there's truth in this, she'll say, well, you don't seem happy to me. Don't you think you'd be happier back in Ireland? And the truth of the matter is, I don't know. Maybe I would, but my instincts tell me no. My instincts just show me being in Martina's house with the rain pouring down and feeling depressed, and then the notion of explaining to anyone I know, or my mother explaining to people, why the fuck is Eddie home after all these years? What's going on? There is pride and everything in that. I wish I could just stay here and live out my life quietly here, you know. I know I've got doctors and things here. If I just had enough money to get by. If I didn't need to work and had some money, I'd manage if I had a little place on my own. I don't need much, kind of lucky. I was going to say I'm psychologically strong. I'm kind of philosophical. Not sure if I'm psychologically strong, though. Probably stretching things a bit. Because these kind of conversations like we had today, just destroy me. There's a culture change here. I mean, a culture problem. And I know a lot of Irish people would maybe say, God, she's really cold. She's not giving you anything at all. And then on the French side, you can imagine her family talking about this, all of them, and being totally with her. And saying, it's amazing you stayed with him for so long, I would have got rid of him years and years ago. I really don't want to leave France, but I wouldn't mind leaving Flo. I wish there was a way to square that kind of equation. If I could just get by here, if I had enough money somewhere. does make one think. It makes one think. When you get to a place like this, of suicide, you just start to think, God, if it was quick and you could do it. Just wrap something around your neck and you just kind of, you know, if you could just I'd be thinking about what's left behind for people, but they'd get over it quick enough. And I'd be finished. I'd be finished. When I think like that, there's more a tendency to think, well, if you're quite content to be finished, then you might as well go on and see what happens next, eh? If you've already said that, then what do you care? You might as well go on. If you kind of just take it on board, just act like you've done that, and then just see what happens next. I guess. Let's have another pee here. Kind of lucky. I had a few cans of beer that I got. When did I get this? I think I got them Sunday, actually. Yeah. They're kind of deaden they make the situation a little more philosophical, I guess, for a while. However, the situation's not going anywhere. Going anywhere at all. If I were to say to Flo, I think maybe if, like you say, if I found a place and you were left on your own here, would you be happier? Because we can do that, but even if it costs extra money. And I can look for a job. God. You know, if I'm honest with myself, I would do it if I had to, of course, if there's no choice, but there's no, if it was just a job like in England, but well, actually, I can't say, can I? It couldn't be any worse than Coral. That was awful. No, if I got the shout, if someone said, come in, work in Flanch, work in Super U, I would do it. And if I could just get by like that, if I could earn some money by going to Manosque and stuff, and I had then I would really have to I'd really have to consider moving. It would have to be done, seriously. I have to get out of this fucking situation. Get a job and just move. And then if she's not around you anymore, you don't have to. You can do what you want. You don't have to listen to her. People can survive in all kinds of ways. Looking at videos of people in America surviving in crazy places. People living out their whole lives in trailer parks. Not a bother on them. I could do that. I don't need much. But something's got to give, huh? I shall say goodbye for now. I don't want to keep... Because I could ramble on and on and on, but I'm going to keep talking to myself, but I think I've said everything to put this moment down for prosperity. Adios.